What makes Love Has Won a cult? There are many reasons a group or religion is defined as a cult. Today we are going to look specifically at the BITE model as it applies to Love Has Won. The BITE model is a list of behaviors used to recruit and keep control of members. It was developed by Dr. Steve Hassan. Dr. Hassan is a cult expert, author of several books, and survivor of a cult himself. You can find much more of his information at freedomofmind.com. You can find the link in the description below. So what is the BITE model? BITE stands for Behavior, Information, Thought, and Emotion Control. These are ways in which cults exert undue influence over their followers. This is essentially the process we all think of as brainwashing. These behaviors serve to strip the identity of the individual and establish them as a part of a cult collective. Let's break it down letter by letter. So, according to this model, what sort of behavioral control does Love Has Won use? Amy and Jason alone decide where the members live. They may be permitted to live in the cabin near Amy if their energetics are right. They may be assigned to live at the home dubbed the Moffat House or the Mission House. If they are really unlucky or badly behaved by the rules of the cult, they may be sent to camp in the woods. Members are restricted to sleeping from midnight to 5 a.m. They are also told the sleep should be conscious sleep, which is the practice of shallow sleeping so that you are still aware of your surroundings. They declare that through spiritual discipline, you should be able to reduce the hours of sleep even further. Members are also told of the coming cashless society that will go into effect after ascension. Therefore, money is pointless and should be used to benefit God. They are also told that the money is equal energy exchange for her services. They are coaxed to spend large sums on surgeries not only for themselves, but for pets or loved ones, even total strangers. Love Has Won has multiple GoFundMe projects going at any given time, including for things like buying a tilt-a-whirl for their crystal skulls. What Mom wants, she deserves to have. They can be heard in various live streams advocating running up credit cards and emptying 401ks, whatever it takes to get to Mom. Members are to remain celibate unless assigned a twin flame from within the ranks. Of course, Amy assigns these. Drake, the only child at Mission, was a product of one of these unions. It is strongly suggested that clothing matches the chakra color of the day. In live streams, Amy has been seen telling members to modify certain clothing items. In another stream, she tells a member that their hat sucks and he should never wear it again. Food is controlled in a couple of ways. They must decide as a group what they want to eat, and the list must be taken to Amy for approval. From there, they must then go and get these things from the local food bank. It is worth noting that in the past, they have had members file for food stamps for children they do not have custody of, children they had left behind. When this practice is questioned, people are reminded that your body can survive without food for weeks. Processing food is a waste of energy resources that your body could expend elsewhere. The people at Mission have claimed that you may come and go as you please. The reality is quite the opposite. The last couple of members to leave have had to essentially sneak away. When they successfully did so, they were berated, they were mocked. Member Ashley ranted on a live feed about how you can't just do what you want in regards to a former member. She blatantly states that former member Ash should have asked permission to leave and consulted Mom before going. Cutting cords with family and friends who don't believe is strongly encouraged. The Ascension Guide even gives them instructions on doing so. The following is pulled directly from their Ascension Guide. If you are experiencing other people coming regularly into your thoughts and negative feelings, such as guilt or shame associated with them, this is the product of attachment. The divine state is non-attached, holding unconditional love for all, regardless of perceived feelings. Cutting cords is an important feature of shedding attachments. Breathe into the chest and heart space, allowing your awareness and consciousness to travel down and into the heart, remaining clear in thought and present in the moment of now. Speak aloud. I cut cords with everything that is not pure, true, whole, and in resonance with love. I cut cords with speak any names allowed here. I reattach cords with everything that is pure, whole, true, in resonance with love, with magical moments and synchronistic events. On its face, this doesn't sound all that bad, but it ends up being used as a wedge to separate members from their families and friends who inevitably are worried about what their loved one is getting into, especially once they get a taste of what Amy is like. We could go on and on in this category. There really is so much to unpack in this group. For now, let's take a look at information control. Former members are ostracized. They are labeled as undesirables, and thus any information they might have is not trustworthy. As such, talking to former members, while not completely discouraged, is usually volatile. The interaction seen between former and current members only ever goes one of two ways. We love you, please come home to us, or you're a disgusting liar and karma is going to get you. According to the team, mainstream media is completely unreliable. The funny thing here is, when it suits their narrative, they are all too happy to cite a mainstream article. They are told they cannot trust Google. Mainstream media is a part of the cabal. Amy will often intentionally lie to members of the group. The most recent example of this is she claimed that Dr. Phil, who interviewed her, had been fired by CBS. She no doubt intended it to help dissuade members from looking for the episode. It is widely encouraged for members to tattle on each other. One former member spoke of how another female member would wait for people to fall asleep, then run to tell Jason. There have been tales of members videoing each other and passing it along. Jason himself even took a video of a member who had unfortunately fallen asleep. He posted it to mock the member openly. When Jason and Amy were actively with the group, they would force confessionals, sometimes for hours at end. Members would stand confused, trying to divulge all their wrongs to figure out what they had done. Oftentimes, it would even be callbacks to things they had done years prior, which runs fully counter to Amy's assertion that they should only live in the present moment now. The group has several tiers of chat they use to communicate, and only certain members are allowed in certain levels. No one is allowed to question Amy's commands. They are expected to trust blindly in God's divine plan and regularly employ the abbreviation IDKS. This stands for I don't know shit, which also reinforces the idea that they are ignorant next to God, a component of the thought control category as well. Speaking of thought control, let's discuss some of the items that fall into that category. Members cannot question Amy's decisions. They are to surrender and trust in the divine plan. This is why you will often see them agreeing when she clearly contradicts herself. They often talk about how all other beliefs are lies. They are constructs and not real. Member names have almost all been changed to their new identities. This helps create a wider rift between the cult-programmed mind and the authentic self. They constantly use loaded language to elicit particular responses. If you think, you are in the mind, and therefore in the ego. This discourages true critical thinking. You are only supposed to feel. They won't even use words connected to the idea of critical thought. Instead of thinking about something, they feel into it. Instead of remembering something, they re-heart it. If you are experiencing any sort of negative emotions, you are said to be spinning out. They frequently mock people for spinning, especially those who come to stream to confront their ideas. Those people are immediately trolls who are spinning. This also helps feed into the us versus them mindset that they seek to establish. They want members to feel it is them against the world. This is what members double down on the harder they are confronted. It also helps build the sense of good versus evil, which is vital to maintaining control. Last, but not least, is emotional control. New members are often love-bombed. This is a process of showering an overly exuberant amount of positivity and love. This is paired with extreme lows when the individual does something disappointing. Example being the bullying confessional sessions seen in the lives with reasonable frequency. Members who want to leave are insulted. They are deemed weak, pathetic, stuck in the 3D world, unable to let go, etc. One member even told someone who left that they should be careful because the last member that left shot himself. They are told that leaving the field exposes them to all sorts of things. Mom's etheric field is the only place that is safe. They even refer to the area as grand names in the story. The Colorado properties are the Garden of Eden. Hawaii was the Lemuria from their legends. Worrying about your needs or anyone else's before Mom's is selfish. If you react negatively to something Amy or Jason does, it is because something is wrong with you, and you need to evaluate why you are being triggered. These are just some basics. I thoroughly encourage checking out the Freedom of Mind website for more detail. A group does not need to meet every criteria, and there are some things they do that are not inherently bad. For example, meditation and prayer. The problem is when these things are used as blockers to independence and thought. A group whose intentions are true will work to empower you while leaving your independence intact.